G'day and welcome back. Guy come to pick up the moped today and it wouldn't start, and then we look down here and what do we see? We see oil. I don't know if I mentioned it yesterday, but when he delivered this bike in a van, it was on its side. So what's happened is oil's come up the cylinder, oil's now in here, just the air filter will be drenched in it, and these EFI fuel injection models, they need a good air fuel ratio to run. They just kind of tipple along trying to get the best mileage out of a little bit of fuel. So that's not going to work. I'm quite annoyed because, for one, I didn't spot it yesterday, although to be fair it wasn't there yesterday, it hadn't dripped out. And for two, I just wanted to get it away from the garage, if I'm being honest, because I don't like storing too many bikes outside. So I'm going to have a quick look, pull this filter out. Best thing to do with it is give it a clean, dry it as quick as you can, put it back in, and the bike should be okay. The battery's quite low now because we were cranking it over this morning, but the batteries on this bike come out through the front, come out through here. It's a right pain. You know, there's nothing more to it, it's a pain. So either way, I'm going to have to get this bike started. I'll probably have to bring the car up, put the jump leads on, and get it done like that, but I do want this bike out of here. CB200 Nat's video shows some of the progress. My god, the side panels and front headlight bezel, unbelievable, unbelievable. And the blue he's done on the side, absolutely stunning. Or the blue he's planning on doing on the side, absolutely stunning. I'm not sure what his plan is, whether it's to have the kind of what do you call it, the patches on the side blue. I don't know what his plan is, but so far, absolutely stunning. Someone in the comments wrote that new paint wouldn't match this bike. You're wrong, frankly. Frankly, you're wrong. Whoever it is, I'm not sure if you're watching this channel closely. But when you look at the bike now and all of the work we've done, with that new paint on, it's going to look stunning. So, just, yeah, everyone's entitled to their opinion, but that statement's absolutely wrong. And then on top of that, next year, I'm going to strip this bike down fully. We're going to paint the frame. We're going to get anything that can be chromed sent off to chrome, and we're going to have an absolutely stunning, my bike. It's going to be my bike, so it's going to be how I like it. The old patina paint was worse. I don't know if Nat would agree, but it was worse than it looked. It had kind of bits of rust kind of coming through. It had, it just wasn't very good, nice paint. And if that's going to be my bike, then I'm going to have it my way. Let me get this filter cleaned out, and then the main video for today is John's bike. I didn't invite people down today on purpose. I wasn't actually meant to be here. I was meant to be out today, but then plans were cancelled. So I'm not inviting anyone down, no rab jabs, no one, because I just want to get on with it in my own time, gently, with no distraction on this one occasion. So you won't believe how much came out. I just pulled it to, I can't get the top bolt out yet. I just pulled it to, and so much crap just spilled out. I mean, he says that apart from being in the fan, this bike hasn't been over. I can't see that. I really can't see it. I think this bike's been on its side. Although, saying that, in the fan was enough, man. You've had all the oils coming up through the cylinder, out into the air filter, and it's piled up in the box like that, and it's shocking. So annoyingly, I can't get to the top bolt in here without taking off this panel, and to take this panel off I have to take the bowl out, and to take the bowl out I have to take the grip off, blah blah blah. It's a pain. So I'm going to take all that off because I have to, and then let's try and get this done and out the door and away. I did charge him 20 quid for the pads. I thought it was important, because again, this used to be my bike, but now it's not. And I'm not sure about this bit. It's not going to cost me anything, so I'm not too fussed about this bit here. But part of me thinks the same thing, charge him another 20 quid for the same reason, so that he doesn't think that this is the place to go when it breaks down. And saying that, you get the cheapest, best deal here anyway. And the other part of me is thinking, nah, don't bother, don't worry. Just do what you can do, get it started, get it out of here. So let me get all that done there so that we can move on, get it started. I'll bring the booster car up if I need to boost this battery, and yeah, we'll be fine. Come on guys, don't really know what to say. Ridiculous. That filter's absolutely saturated and ruined. I don't know if I've got enough to make a new one. Look at the oil. I mean, the oil in the bottom isn't that colour, so it must have mixed with something up here. But I don't know. Terrible times. Right, let's saturated. Look. I haven't even got any brake cleaners. Yesterday I was meant to get some cleaners. I've got the finger guard, that will work, but not for that. I need to see. On rare occasions I have spare filters that I've kept over the years, but unlikely at this stage. I haven't got any other filter. I used to keep filter paper, and then you could make, so it was A4 sheets of filter, and you could cut around the old template. That was very handy. I haven't had that for, well, actually I ran out a little while ago. I was chatting to Paul Laguna yesterday, and I was saying every year or two I just stock up on everything. New screwdrivers, new flatheads, new JIS bits, and stuff like that. And this is kind of part of, you know, some flat sheet air filter, brake fluids, and this and that. So at some point with a sale, maybe with whenever the Farrago disappears, I will have to kind of do a stock buy of some bits and pieces for this exact occasion, really. Right, I'm going to have to, I think that's unsavable. I think that's going to disintegrate. Not sure. Let's get this cleaned out at least. Lucky enough, second airbox with a filter in. That's what I mean when I say I leave parts lying around, although I'm sure I've got a brand new one in there as well somewhere. I'm going to pop this out and get it switched over. That should be okay and good to go. When you're cleaning these out, you have to get into every nook and cranny. Look, you have to get right in there. Otherwise, it will just do the same thing again. So, yeah, I can see a little bit back there still. You just got to keep going, get it all out. Otherwise, the new filter will be ruined immediately. It will just suck it all up again in the same way. So, yep, let's get this back on track so that we can get rid of it. The bearing sounds horrible. I'm now challenging as to why I'm under here, if it's a complete false economy not to pop the side casing off, because the bearings in the case. So I don't know. I'm going to pop the casing off. I've got a spare casing somewhere which will have a bearing in it. If it happens to just be that bearing, then the problem will be solved, but it's worth having a look under there anyway to see what's going on. Annoying, but best thing to do. So just to show you what I'm considering, it's this bearing here, it's this bearing here. It could be an issue with that bearing in there, and like I said, we've got this casing anyway. So let's pop it off, let's have a look. You'll feel it and hear it. This one's super smooth. You'd feel it and hear it if it was an issue. Otherwise it might be an issue with the belt or something's come loose. But while we're here, let's pop it off, let's do the right thing, let's have a look in there, see if we can solve the issue. So this is the bearing I'm thinking about. Listen. But I don't know what's going on. Let's pop this cover off and take a look. Okay, so best ways to check the bearing. Once you've got the case off, run the wheel, listen. Beautiful, no issues at all. Now listen to this bearing. Yep, you can hear that, that doesn't sound too healthy, and this bearing is silent. And actually this bearing looks really old and that bearing looks quite new. So a simple fix here, guys, you just put it back on, and you don't mess with packing it or anything. It's a sealed bearing, but they do go and they're easy enough to change. That's why you've got the circlips here. So it should be pushing that on, should change it, or it should be good to go actually. Yeah, excellent. So I was looking around the engine, and what I noticed was this, and that is the fuel injector sender. Here's the injector itself. You'll know from the last video that these are fragile anyway, but what's happened here is, my guess is, the bike was laying on its side, which it was because I saw it. I helped lift it out. I think the wires have been pulled, and they've pulled the injector wire, which is fragile anyway. You've got that on it as well, and then you've got this on it, and basically it was kind of just about holding on. It had snapped. It had snapped and kind of folded down, and then when I touched it, which you have to do to put the airbox on, it came off fully. Annoyingly, he's going to have to buy an injector. I spoke to John, and John's point was extremely valid. He was like, actually, he's done a lot of damage by putting the bike on the side, so either give it back to him or have him pay for all the parts. So I've sent him a link to the cheapest injector I found, which was about 40 quid. And I've said to him, you need an injector. Absolutely up to you what you do. You can order it, you can ask me to order it, you can basically do whatever you want. So I'm gonna just put this back together loosely, because it's gonna go back in the corner, and leave it until there's absolutely nothing we can do there until there's a new injector.
2,000 years later.
Okay, so we're back. It's a few days later since this last project, since we left this, and what had happened was, where the bike had been on its side in the fan, and however it was put in or pulled out, this the wiring in here had been dislodged. I've shoved it back in, but it's not really making connection. Look, so I've ordered a new one. I believe it's the right one, and it's here. It should be as simple as plug it in, leave it alone, and this should start up on the key. I see no reason why it wouldn't. If it does, I want to button this bad boy up and get it out of here. Not for any reason except it's at the garage, you know, it's taking up space. And yeah, best to get rid of it. So I need to clip this top piece onto the new injector, and then throw that on, and it should fire up. Panels back on. It's rolling beautifully now. We haven't got any of the silly bearing noises. And we topped up the gearbox oil, and actually done way more than I should do. I charged 20 for the brake pads last week. I'll be charging for the new injector, which is 30 quid, and probably 30 quid for the next set, and then he's paid 50 quid all in. Don't get me wrong, that is parts, and in fact, considering I put on my side casing and the spare air filter, that leaves me under. But this is still a charity. It is still meant to do charitable stuff, and always will be. So no huge issues there. I'm not going to film much of this, guys. I'm a bit under the weather today, if I'm being honest. So I'm just kind of out here doing an hour just to get out of bed. Yeah, and I've actually got the new keepers for the valve as well. I'm going to try and put that in if I can, but it was a bit difficult on my own last time, but we'll see. New injectors in, old injectors here. I'm going to keep the old parts for the guy so he can see them. Fingers crossed it starts. I really can't be arsed. Let's prime it. Come on. Thank God. My energy levels just won't let me mess around anymore. Brand new injector, bearings done, new air filter. Done. Okay, piece it back together. Simple as that. I like to throw a rag over a bike when I'm finished. I'll clean, not a full-on detail, just a quick clean. Me and John have quite seriously been talking about opening a shop in the future. and it would be a very basic shop. It would do basic servicing, just services, oils, spark plugs, air filters. We wouldn't take on huge projects. It'd be quick, cheap, you know, affordable servicing. Because where we are in London, the delivery riders and all of them, that there's thousands. We are not greedy. It's about continuing what we do. And if it's something that comes, I mean, we're talking in 2 or 3 years, but if it's something that happens, it would be really exciting. We would continue our works in the background for the channel, but ultimately we would be living off running a shop. And it's a brilliant idea. I love the idea, and if that's something that happens in the future, that'll be brilliant. But stuff like throwing a rag over a bike is so important, and topping up the oil if you see it's low, and this and that, and you know, that stuff costs you nothing. You don't have to charge for any of that. A little top up of oil, or a little rag over a bike, or a bit of spray grease here and there. That's the extra added touch that lots of mechanics used to do. In fact, when you used to put your bike in a mechanics years back, you'd come out and on your brake levers and stuff, you'd have this nasty white thick grease. And it used to really wind me up that they didn't wipe it. But on the other hand, they were doing it. They were greasing the areas that moved. Nowadays, you just don't see that level of work, I'm afraid. Maybe you do out there, guys, but I don't. And to be fair, I don't really use mechanics anymore. So I'm going on my limited knowledge at this stage. So let me know in the comments if you do have a great mechanic near you who does all of that. I've just re-edited my I told you I've been in bed. I've just re-edited my first ever project on YouTube, and I was so nervous when I first did it, and I had no confidence in this and that. I think I've just done a great job at editing it, so I'm going to re-upload that. So if you guys recognise it, yeah, of course you recognise it. It's the first one I ever did, but it was fairly unwatchable back then, in the way it was edited, in the way I was speaking. I think I've done a much better job of re-editing it, so I'm going to be uploading that soon. So apologies if it is a repeat for you, but ultimately it's only got a couple of hundred views in 4 or 5 different videos, so we could probably boost it now with a more watchable cut. And it really is a more watchable cut. I mean, I did it this morning. I spent 2 or 3 hours editing, and I think it's come out great. So if anyone sees that, do throw a like for me, because it was a great first project that I was filming, and like I said, I was so nervous at the time. I'm going to see if I can get that valve in for now. I'm going to lose the weather, I can see it, but I'm going to see if I can get that valve in, and if I can, that head will go on probably on Sunday if we get John's carbs done on Saturday.